Good morning, everyone, and welcome. I am Michelle Benham, Senior Director of Communications for Duke Community Affairs. Thank you so much for joining our inaugural town hall. We are glad you're here. Before we begin, here are a few brief notes to help everything run smoothly today. We are using Zoom webinar, so you will be in view-only mode. Please submit questions into the Zoom Q&A at any time. We'll address as many as we can get to in the Q&A portion. Please use the chat to share. We will use the chat to share links, resources, and reminders, and live captions are available. To turn them on, select live transcript at the bottom of your Zoom window. Today's session is being recorded, and we will share the recording with everyone who has registered after the event. If you experience any technical issues, please note them in the chat and a member of our team will assist. With that, we will begin with Duke's Vice President for Community Affairs, Stephanie Williams.
Thanks, Michelle, and I'm grateful to you and the team for organizing today's conversation. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for participating in this inaugural town hall about community partnerships. We are so pleased to have campus and community members present as we discuss and reflect on purposeful partnerships. Today's town hall is designed to bring Duke's community partnerships to life through real examples, highlighting not only what we are working on together, but why these partnerships matter and how people across Duke and communities can engage. Earlier this morning, we gathered with community partners to celebrate the reaffirmation of Duke University by the Carnegie Foundation as a community-engaged institution. This esteemed recognition reflects decades of positive collaboration, trust-based relationships, and shared problem solving. This morning, we also held the first Open Doors event to invite more local construction firms to do business with Duke as a part of our homegrown initiative. And now we are pleased to be together at this town hall. We are so fortunate to have outstanding local organizations in Durham and the Triangle working every day to tackle important community needs. Offices and schools in the university and health system partner with these organizations, residents, and leaders through teaching, learning, research, clinical care, and service here and all across the state. Last year, we celebrated Duke's 100th anniversary, and this month marked Durham's 157th birthday. Over the years, we've navigated challenges and seized opportunities, affirming that we are stronger together. From the Duke-Durham Neighborhood Partnership, a network of proximate neighborhoods partnering with Duke in existence for more than 3 decades, to the community-engaged internship and fellowship program started a couple of years ago to match students to local organizations. We continue to forge partnerships based on shared interests. A few years ago, we worked with community partners to identify 5 focus areas of shared interest where we can coordinate across the institution and with community partners to make a sustained difference. Particularly in universities where activities are often time-bound, for example, by the year students are here or the time a project is funded. This sustainment is crucial to building enduring partnerships because trust and outcomes take time. These 5 focus areas are outlined in the Duke Strategic Community Impact Plan and include community and nonprofit support, neighborhoods, housing and infrastructure, economic mobility, college access and career readiness, education, early childhood and school readiness, and community health, nutrition, and food security. In Duke Community Affairs, we hope to connect and support partners across Duke and across communities to build lasting relationships that have collective impact over time. Some resources available to you to bolster partnerships include the Duke Partnership Platform at partnership.duke.edu, which provides data visualization or mapping of community partnerships and outcomes, as well as matching to volunteer opportunities, grants, and more. along with the Duke Center for Community Engaged Scholarship, which was launched a little over a year ago, and is an interdisciplinary hub facilitating collaborative scholarship between community partners and Duke faculty, staff, and students to address pressing societal challenges. The center connects community organizations to researchers to explore difficult questions, analyze data, and enhance their impactful work. And of course, the recent announcement of Homegrown, Duke's commitment to pathways of opportunity, and an investment of $203 million to improve economic mobility for our neighbors in Durham and across the Triangle. Supporting this work is a team and structure intentionally organized into units across the university and health system, network together, and each focus on advancing community engaged work in complementary ways. Economic and Community Development, led by Adam Klein, aligns Duke's resources, including strategic investments, with local community development financial institutions and the Homegrown Initiative to expand affordable housing, support small businesses, and advance economic mobility. The team also stewards place-based relationships, particularly in neighborhoods closest to Duke through the Duke-Durham Neighborhood Partnership, building trust and collaboration around shared priorities over time. Community Engaged Scholarship and Education, led by Debbie Goldstein, connects our scholars, our faculty, staff, students, and community partners through the Duke Center for Community Engaged Scholarship to align Duke's academic mission with community-identified priorities and advance both academic goals and community well-being. Debbie's team also promotes evidence-based, high-quality early education and school-based programs that prepare youth socially, emotionally, and academically to be lifelong learners. Community Health and Social Impact, led by Ian Brown, strengthens connections with the health system through programs that help vulnerable populations access care and support for well-being, including nutrition and food security, which is one component of Duke's broader community health investments and our commitment to providing quality care to all patients, regardless of ability to pay. And Operations Research and Advancement, led by Taweri Bowles, supports strong relationships with residents, nonprofit organizations, and civic leaders by ensuring clear communication, responsiveness, and access to engagement opportunities through tools such as the Partnership Platform and the Doing Good Employee Giving Campaign. Together, these teams enable Duke Community Affairs to serve as a hub, connecting people, ideas, and resources across campus and communities in purposeful partnerships and in ways that sustain relationships over time. In that regard, we'll begin this town hall with a discussion focused on Duke's investments in community development financial institutions, or CDFIs. To date, Duke has deposited $22 million with local CDFIs, and that investment will increase to $60 million through Homegrown. Through these investments, Duke has partnered in creating more than 1,000 affordable housing units in Durham. And maintaining these dollars locally allows them to be reinvested directly into our region, generating tangible benefits for our neighbors. You'll learn more about this in our first conversation with our friends from Latino Community Credit Union, Mechanics and Farmers Bank, and Self Help Credit Union. Following that, you will hear from Housing for New Hope about what happens when systems, not just organizations, work together, and how connecting our research and education missions helps our most vulnerable populations. Education is another topic of today's town hall, reflecting Duke's commitment to lifelong learning. We'll highlight the impact of Duke Advise NC, a partnership that supports first-generation high school students as they navigate college applications, post-secondary planning, and career pathways. Advise NC is one of many educational partnerships, like the University Assisted Community Schools and Teach House, which we encourage you to explore. In addition, we'll recognize excellence in community engagement by presenting the Lars Lyon Prize, which honors individuals who exemplify collaboration, service, and meaningful impact. I want to thank our community partners for being with us today, as well as the Lars Lyon family and our Duke students, faculty, staff, and alumni who contribute to partnership in so many ways. And now, let's get started with a short video on community engagement in action.
Okay, so to get us started today, we will be focusing on housing and small business development, one of the region's most significant priorities and a central part of Duke Community Affairs community engagement work. We have the privilege of working with partners who bring deep expertise and a strong commitment to expanding affordable housing and home ownership and building small business capacity. This first conversation features Self-Help Credit Union, Latino Community Credit Union, and Mechanics and Farmers Bank, longtime partners helping families build financial stability and opportunity. I'm pleased to welcome Adam Klein, the Associate Vice President of Economic Development at Community Affairs, Dan Levine, Director of Real Estate at Self-Help, Vicki Garcia, President and CEO at LCCU, and Jim Sills, President and CEO of M&F. They will share what they are seeing right now, how this work is making a difference, and how Duke's investments help support these efforts. Adam?
Great. Thanks, Michelle. Really pleased to have our panel assembled today. And we're going to start with Dan. Dan, Self-Help has a long history of supporting affordable housing and community development. Can you briefly describe the role Self-Help plays in expanding access to affordable housing and home ownership and what that looks like in our region today?
Sure. Thanks, Adam. And I'll do my best to be brief, not one of my core strengths. So Self-Help is a family of nonprofit community development organizations. We were founded in Durham in 1980. We currently have about 7,000 local members in our two credit unions. And I'll say we've worked in formal partnership with Duke since the mid-90s, so going on 30 plus years at this point. And so since that time, we've made over 600 home mortgage loans in Durham County, mostly to first-time home buyers. We've built and sold over 100 affordable homes to first-time buyers. And we've also directly developed and preserved more than 700 affordable rental properties throughout Durham. And then the other key points to mention are we've done a lot of work in close partnership with Duke to support redevelopment of affordable housing through our land bank that Duke has been a key funder of for years, working with partner organizations. And then also through the Durham Affordable Housing Loan Fund, which we've launched several years ago and have made loans to support hundreds of affordable housing. And we're actually going to be expanding that loan very soon. So lots of great work in partnership with Duke.
Thanks, Dan. Vicki, I'm going to turn to you now. LCCU works closely with families who are often navigating barriers to home ownership. I think we're interested to hear from your perspective, what does access to a trusted financial institution mean for families, and how does that translate into stability and opportunity?
Thank you, Adam, and hello to everybody. I often say that for many of the families that we serve, access to a trusted financial institution is not about just opening an account or getting a loan. It's about stepping into a system that hasn't always been built for them and finally feeling like they belong. And trust really changes everything. When families trust us, they are more willing to move away from cash, to save, to ask questions, and to plan. And there's where you start to see real stability, less financial stress, more predictability, and the ability to make longer-term decisions for themselves and their families. At the credit union, we see our role as a helping build to help build this path for every one. Nearly 65% of our members come to us previously unbanked, and 70% of our borrowers identify as low-income individuals that begin their journey with us. So for many, homeownership is not the starting point, is an outcome of the whole process. This process includes financial education, credit building, savings, and most importantly, building the confidence to navigate the financial system. Most of our members are new immigrants or new to the country, and financial education is a key stone for us to walk alongside of the continuum of economic opportunity. We have now supported more than 100,000 members in becoming homeowners. About 70% of them are first-time home buyers, and about 20% of those never had credit history before getting a home loan. So I think this work becomes more important as we move during times of uncertainty and as growth for our community is so key to their success.
Thanks, Vicki. Appreciate how you lifted up the comprehensive approach that you and your team take in addition to banking opportunities, the education and other tools that you're providing. And that's something I want to stay with as we move through the panel. Jim, I'm going to turn attention to you and M&F. M&F has a long and storied history of fueling entrepreneurs and small businesses in Durham. Can you talk a bit about some of the barriers facing small businesses and the strategies that M&F uses to support both capital and otherwise?
Yeah, thanks, Adam, for that question. It's great to be here today with my fellow community development financial institutions. So thank you for the invitation to participate in Duke's Community Affairs' first ever town hall. I think we all know that small businesses are the backbone of the economy. They're the job creators, they're the innovators, and the number one challenge is access to capital. And it doesn't matter if it's a startup, a business that's trying to sustain itself, or a business that's trying to grow. Everybody needs access to capital. And over the last many, many years, and we've been in business 119 years, but the last 5 or 6 years, we have really doubled down on providing access to capital to small businesses to the tune of about over $400 million in the last 5 or 6 years. And that includes the Paycheck Protection Program. So I would say that's the number one challenge. I'd say the second challenge is technical assistance. A lot of small businesses, they know what they're doing. You know, they have the expertise, they have the credit, but they need coaching. They need more information to kind of scale their business. And that's where I think Duke and my other partners here in the communities here could do a better job of helping them with providing them with those technical marketing skills and financial skills and HR skills and risk management skills. What we're doing here, which I think is a little unique, we're giving away $10,000 to a small business every quarter in each one of our markets. And so there's no other bank that's providing a $10,000 grant because we really want to invest in small businesses in the markets where we're located. And lastly, we're a SBA or Small Business Administration lender, and we think that's a good tool to have in our toolbox to help small businesses grow.
Thank you. Appreciate that. I've got a question that I want to ask to all three of you. You obviously are close working partners of Duke, and I'm interested for you to unpack a little bit about Duke's investments, both financial and otherwise, and how they support or strengthen the work you're already doing. And the second part to that is, why do sustained partnerships like these matter? Vicki, can I start with you, and then we'll go back to Jim and then to Dan?
So for us, Duke has been an incredible partner and has been there when we needed the most. When we started the credit union back in 2000, Duke was one of the first organizations that put a deposit in LCCU, helping us open more branches to serve our community. They have come to us 3 times, and one in 2004 when we were launching our mortgage program, as seed capital to the program here in Durham. And then in 2018, when we were expanding our services to the rest of the state. So Durham and Duke has been a key anchor for us as we have grown as an organization. I think the other part that has been very important to us is the partnership with each of the departments in the university, especially with the business school, with the policy and public department as well. We have had students doing their internships, and we have several Duke alumni working with us and helping grow the organization. So for us, Duke is an anchor partner and example for other partnerships that we have in the organization.
Thanks, Vicki. Jim, why don't you chime in there?
I would just say ditto. Great answer, Vicki. Duke has been a great partner to M&F Bank for decades, and they've been a depositor here for decades. So we really appreciate your deposits. Those deposits allow us to recycle those dollars back into the community in the form of loans. And we've made, millions of dollars of loans off of those deposits over many, many decades. We reinvest about 60% of our deposits back into the communities we serve as a CDFI and also as a emergency capital investment program recipient. And lastly, similar to Vicki, we have partnered with the business school on various projects where their students have taken a business problem and solved it for us and come back and actually present it to our management team and board. And we've also had various Duke students serve as interns.
Great, thank you.
Thank you for that support over the years.
Thanks, Jim. Ian?
Yeah, so I'll echo a lot of what Jim and Vicki said. And so maybe just to emphasize, I think three key things I see that are important about Duke's partnership are the scale and sustained duration of the financial investment has been really key to our CDFI, like the others on the panel. Then I'd also say, Duke's role as a thought leader, somebody who's interested in engagement, and so really excited about the new focus on engaged scholarship. I think that can take that to the next level. And then lastly, similar to that, the role of a convener of Duke being able to bring public sector partners, private sector partners, nonprofit partners together, I think is really critical to the work.
Thanks, y'all. I know we're up against time. I'm going to do a lightning round here. So briefly, just a line or two about, as you think about the future, what you see as the most important opportunities or challenges when it comes to affordable housing and small business growth in our communities. Dan, do you want to start? And we'll go to Vicki and then to Jim. We'll wrap up.
Sure. I think building what I just said about the convener role and the thought partnership role, I don't think we should take it for granted that collaboration like this just naturally happens. It's really people who form collaborations and partnerships. It's not institutions directly. And so being able to sustain the work looking forward, we've got a lot of headwinds, needless to say. And so really continuing to really foster that work together, bring in new partners and hold each other accountable. I think it's really important for community members and partners to look for more opportunities to grow the work. So I'm looking forward to being part of that.
Thanks. Vicki?
I think there's an opportunity to invest earlier in affordable housing. By that, I mean through financial education, credit building, and small business support, so that families are better positioned when the moment for homeownership comes. And I think that's where the partnerships that Dan was mentioning are key to the success of that. At the end of the day, economic mobility doesn't start with a mortgage. It starts much earlier. And if we get to those building blocks right, housing becomes more attainable and more sustainable in the future.
Okay, thanks. Jim, go ahead.
Sure. I would say two things. We really appreciate your support for your local financial institutions that you have on the screen here. So that's critical. I also think second, buying local and supporting local businesses it's great for everybody in this community. And third, I would say providing more technical assistance these entrepreneurs need more information to grow their businesses. So how Duke can help facilitate that with sharing information and providing coaching, I just think that'll help the community just take off.
That's great. Thank you, all three of you, for taking the time to be with us. We know you're busy leaders in your organizations and providing amazing leadership in our community. Truly grateful to work alongside you. I've heard some clear call outs for opportunities for students to get engaged, other ways that our Center for Community Engaged Scholarship, which you're going to hear about in a second, will be engaged, and obviously much more as we expand the homegrown partnership. Thank you all for your leadership, and Michelle, over to you.
Thanks, Adam. And thank you so much to Dan, Vicki, and Jim for that great conversation. It seems we had some technical difficulties with the sound on the video, so we will be sure to share a link with that video with the recording of today's webinar. Thank you to those who are submitting questions. A reminder that you can submit them anytime through the Q&A function at the bottom of your webinar screen. So building on that great conversation, we'd like to take a step back for a moment and consider how these investments work together on the ground to support housing stability and support longer-term, stronger outcomes. Next, you'll hear from Russell Pierce, who brings a community-based perspective on what impact looks like for individuals and families. Russell is the Executive Director of Housing for New Hope in Durham, where he helps shape our community's collaborative response to homelessness. He is also an instructor at Duke's Divinity School, where he teaches nonprofit management and works closely with students to connect their learning to real-world efforts to expand affordable housing and pathways to stability. Hi, Russell. Russell will be joined in conversation with Eliza Matthew, a Senior Director for Community Development at Duke Community Affairs. Together, they will share what is working, what is still needed, and why long-term collaboration between Duke and community partners matters. Eliza?
Hey, Russ, it's good to be with you.
Good morning.
First off, give us a little bit of context to Housing for New Hope's work. And from your vantage point as an executive director, what are you seeing right now, and where are partnerships making the biggest difference?
Yeah, so Housing for New Hope is over 30 years old, and we grew out of a realization that um, folks most need when they're exiting homelessness, housing and supportive services. So we traditionally and primarily work with folks who've experienced long-term homelessness and are living with a disabling condition, connect them to housing, but then also connect them to a variety of supports that will help them become stable for the long haul, physical and behavioral health resources, job readiness and employment as appropriate, various life skills, and also how to build and maintain community and healthy relationships. And that's a big undertaking. All of those things are big undertakings when working with such vulnerable populations. And what we've learned over the years is we cannot do this work alone. So we work not just with a variety of partners providing homeless services, but across a number of different systems, including the healthcare system, in many cases with our criminal justice system, and a lot of other nonprofits. And what we're seeing right now, which is really encouraging, is that the city of Durham, Durham County, Duke, and a variety of partners came together in 2026 and did 2025, and did a lightning round to create a new strategic framework for preventing and ending homelessness. It's the first one we've had in our community in a decade. And one of the critical pieces that happened there was Duke stepped forward along with A.J. Fletcher Foundation to help essentially bring private dollars along public dollars to make that framework process happen very quickly. So being able to, in a sense, set the table was very critical. But also, we were able to engage a variety of community partners, a variety of government partners, but folks from across the spectrum at Duke and at Duke Health to make sure that we had all the right voices at the table to move that framework forward.
Thanks, Russ, for sharing kind of that broad landscape view. I'm curious now, share a bit more about how you've connected with at Duke, our education and research missions to better serve our most vulnerable neighbors.
Right. One of the things that we've been able to do really is leverage partnerships through a variety of parts of Duke, many times to help us think ahead or to learn better about what's going on. So one of the first places we've worked a lot is with the Sanford School of Public Policy. For a number of years, we've had Coverdell Fellows who actually have created with us a state of housing and homelessness report. That's been really one of the few things that existed in Durham to really let us know what's really going on statistically and get that information out. And one of the kind of fun things about that is it's not just been local media that have picked it up, but we've done interviews with the Washington Post, with the Guardian in the UK, with a group out of the Netherlands, that were really seeing what was going on in Durham and learning about it because of that work. We also have worked, a few years ago, we worked with a group of students from Sanford, grad students, to research what would it take to build more supportive housing, not just the housing units themselves, but really create stronger partnerships with the city and the county, and Duke and others. And they did that work in 2022. And then unexpectedly in 2023, we had an opportunity as a community to save 48 units of supportive housing. And because the students had already built those relationships and they told us what folks would want to hear if you came to make an ask like that, we were able to do it and save those units pretty quickly. So we're able to often learn what we need in advance through partnering with parts of Duke, in order to be ready when the opportunities arise.
That's great. It's awesome to hear about those seeds being planted, and that work coming to fruition later on. Let's wrap up here. As a local ED, what advice do you have for faculty, staff, and students who want to align their interests to support local nonprofit organizations through volunteerism or research?
I think one is always just pause and see what's already here in Durham. I think sometimes I appreciate entrepreneurial spirit, but sometimes things already exist. And so finding ways to partner with agencies to help strengthen that work, and help us learn together is really critical. And I think the other piece is also just working, both for students and faculty. I run into this at different ways at different times. Um, to be prepared to work with vulnerable populations is pretty critical, because a lot of times, there's so much to learn together, but we need to approach it in a way that's deeply respectful, and that takes real intentionality. So I think that's something where I think we've learned, when we're partnering with various schools at Duke and other universities, is to make sure we're also helping resource folks when they come and start working with the vulnerable populations that we serve.
Thanks, Russ, for anchoring this conversation and what's happening on the ground, and for reminding us why long-term trust-based partnerships matter so much, especially in work as complex as housing stability.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks, Eliza. Hi, everybody. I'm Debbie Goldstein, the Associate Vice Provost, Associate Vice President for Community Engaged Scholarship at Duke. Housing and education are deeply connected, and access to opportunity depends on both. Duke strives to promote high-quality, evidence-based education practices that prepare children socially and emotionally and academically to be lifelong learners. From tutoring programs like America Reads, America Counts, to supporting experiential learning projects where Duke students work alongside North Carolina Central University students, partnering with community schools, to partnerships with Durham Public Schools like Teach House that offers affordable housing, mentoring, and a peer professional development network to early career teachers, Duke is active in numerous education collaborations locally. As we turn to education, we would like to highlight just one partnership that supports students at a pivotal moment as they consider what comes next after high school. Advise NC works with high school seniors across 9 North Carolina counties to support post-secondary planning and access to higher education. I'm pleased to share with my colleagues and listen to them talk about how this partnership is helping students take their next steps and how Duke's support strengthens that work. Please welcome Crystal Ortiz, who serves as an advisor at Lakewood High School in Sampson County, North Carolina, and a proud Duke alum from Clinton, North Carolina, also in Sampson County. Please welcome Calissa Arnold, a senior at Lakewood High School, who's planning to attend UNC Charlotte this fall, and Victoria Chavis, the program director for Advise NC.
Thank you, Debbie. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to jump right into our questions. First up, Crystal, can you share an example of how Advisency's advisors support students as they navigate the post-secondary process, including college applications, financial aid, and then understanding their options after high school?
Yeah, of course. As advisors, we're here to support students with one-on-one interactions, and that is often through college applications, helping them apply to college, helping them complete their FAFSA, complete their RDS, and also if they do not know what they want to do after high school, we also help support them. Sorry, that's the school alarm. We also help to support them and explore possible careers that they may have interest in. We also host events for our students. Throughout October is Free College Application Week. This is a really big week, and we often encourage students to apply to college. We have raffle baskets for them to encourage them and to take the step for life after high school. We also have FAFSA nights. In Sampson County, we actually collaborate with other Sampson County advisors to make sure we have that additional assistance. We also have advisors who speak Spanish, and we help a lot of the Spanish-speaking families in filling out the FAFSA. And a big thing we also offer is field trips for our students. Our students have more than likely not visited a lot of colleges throughout North Carolina. Last week, I just took 18 Lakewood high schoolers to explore 3 colleges on an overnight field trip. We visited UNCW, we visited NC State, and we also visited App State. Not only did students get to see these campuses for the first time, but for some of them, it was also their first time seeing a sunrise at Wrightsville Beach and the mountains for the first time in their life.
Thank you, Crystal. I really appreciate that and putting into perspective just how important these experiences can be for students. So, Kalissa, I'm excited to hear from you. Can you share your perspective with us about what are some of the biggest barriers students face in accessing higher education or post-secondary opportunities? And how has your college advisor being in your school made a difference?
I would say one of the hardest things about like being at my school and like trying to navigate colleges is most of the college websites are blocked. Like it's weird due to like protection reasons and stuff like that. So I would say having Miss Ortiz definitely helped me make it through the process of like doing my RDS and making sure my FAFSA was filled out and things like that.
Miss Ortiz for the win. Thank you, Kalitha. Another question for you is, can you explain to our audience what encouraged you to meet with Miss Ortiz for post-secondary support and how has she been able to help you reach your goals?
What encouraged me to meet with Miss Ortiz was at our open house. I was actually promoting our school's chapter of FBLA because I'm FBLA president, and she was alongside us, just trying to get everybody interested about going to college. And I was like, okay, like I will definitely be going back to see her. And then like the first week of school hit, I'm in the library doing my college work, and I'm like, let's look at this college stuff. And I instantly got confused and I said, okay, let's go see Miss Ortiz.
So glad she was there for you. As you're looking ahead to graduation and moving on to UNC Charlotte, what advice would you give to other students as they're looking into making plans for what happens after high school?
I would definitely say don't be afraid to ask questions while you're in high school. Definitely make sure you understand all the material as it comes to you and don't wait until like test taking time. And I would definitely say like when it comes to scholarships, maintain being on top of that because as this year went on, I wasn't on top of it, and now it's like everything's just all on top of me. So I would definitely say maintain like a calendar so you can know how everything is and when everything's coming up and try and be ahead of everything.
What I heard was practice organization now because you're definitely going to need it. So I will wrap us up just by highlighting the conversation we've had. We wanted to highlight that access to these opportunities alone isn't enough. What makes the difference is sustained and individualized support. So that's what we've been trying to accomplish with having advisors in schools and meeting the students where they are, being able to answer their questions and help them figure out what they can contribute to the great state of North Carolina. So thank you both, Crystal and Kalissa. And Debbie, I will pass it back to you.
Thank you so much, Victoria, Crystal, and Kalissa, for your incredible work. I'm now pleased to share with you an example of the outstanding scholarship that our Center for Community Engaged Scholarship supports every day. Duke recently established the center to serve as an interdisciplinary hub for collaborative research, teaching, and learning between community partners and Duke faculty, staff, and students to address pressing societal challenges. The center helps match academic teams and resources with community partners to collaborate. It provides training and support for best practices in collaborative engagement, and we champion local efforts to work together in ongoing discovery and problem solving. Recently, we were pleased to kick off our third year of placing Duke students in community-based internships. This summer, we are placing over 60 doctoral, master's, and undergraduate students in placements working with over 40 local community organizations. We have closed the application process for our first call for community engaged research proposals focused on housing and economic well-being, and expect to announce our first grant awards for this research in May. Finally, we will be presenting the Algernon Sidney Sullivan Awards to a graduating senior, a graduate professional student, and a Duke faculty member later this week. Today, we are thrilled to highlight the Lars Lyons Prize, which honors an individual whose work reflects a deep commitment to collaboration, service, and positive community impact, values that are central to Duke Community Affairs' mission. We're pleased to announce this year's Lars Lyons Prize recipient and recognize her contribution.
Thank you, Debbie. It is my honor to present the 2026 Lars Lyon Volunteer Service Award. Established in 1989, this award preserves the memory of Lars Lyon, a Duke student who lived as a true servant leader. Even while battling cancer, Lars dedicated his time to the Durham community. He worked with organizations like Circle K International and the Ronald McDonald House. Today, this award, which includes a $20,000 scholarship, recognizes a Duke undergraduate student who continues that legacy by making a real difference in our community. From the moment that Abby Winslow arrived at Duke, she set out to strengthen our community through service. Before her first semester even began, Abby reached out to resident life with a vision. Inspired by her brother, she wanted to create a charity to unite students and Durham residents in support of families facing medical hardships. Abby built that vision from the ground up. In her first year, she organized Duke Time for Time 5K Color Run, a race that engaged over 300 participants. She raised $5,300 for Preston's League, which is an organization that supports pediatric patients at Duke Hospital. This past year, she grew that impact even further by leading nearly 500 participants and raising over $6,000. Abby's leadership is more about numbers, more than numbers, actually. It is about mentorship and heart. She guided the East Campus Council through event planning and advocated for students' well-being on the Cohane Quad Council. Abby leads with a humility and optimism that perfectly mirrors the legacy of Lars Lyon. We are grateful to also have members of the Lyon family with us today. Their continued support ensures that the spirit of Lars remains a permanent part of the Duke experience. Please welcome Lars's sister, Darcy Lyon, and brother, Seth Lyon. And after their remarks, we will hear from our 2026 awardee, Abby Winslow.
Thank you so much, Carissa. Thank you to the Duke community for inviting us here. It's very meaningful. So in the house we grew up in, Seth and my bedroom were on the opposite end of the house as Lars's, and we weren't supposed to wake up the parents early in the morning on Sundays or Christmas. So Seth and I would go across the house to his room where Lars would pull out his giant case of Matchbox cars, and we would open it up and we would have races and sort of fight with the Matchbox cars, kind of like you would with G.I. Joe figures. Then when I was 16, then my brother said that he had a special present for me. And that night there was a knock on the door and Lars was like, "Open the door." And when I did, there was someone standing there with a garbage bag on their head, like a kitchen garbage bag, and it had bows all over it. And he said, "Take it off." So I did, and it was his best friend, Mats. So for my sweet 16 birthday, my older brother decided to gift me my first ever date with his best friend because he knew that would be a safe outing. And we went and saw The Breakfast Club for those who remember that movie. So when Lars got into Duke, he was thrilled, as was our whole family, because it's such an amazing organization, it's such an amazing institution, and he really loved his time there. We also have a long family lineage of dedication to community and service, and I can think of nobody better to earn this year's award than Abby. It's such a delight to meet you. I'm going to pass it on to my younger brother, Seth.
Hey, everybody. Thanks so much for inviting us. I really appreciate it. Yeah, just real briefly, Lars left for Duke when I was still a little kid, essentially. So I never really got to know him well as an adult. My memories are all of him as a child, me as a child. And what really stands out for me as his younger brother was his generosity, his patience, and just his kindness. He was always very open and engaged with me, even though I was much younger than him, and just sharing, playing games together, including me in stuff that he was doing. It really stands out to me how appropriate it is that this award is in his name because he was such a generous, kind person, and that's how I experienced him growing up. So I'm really thankful that his memory is living on in this way.
Thank you, Seth and Darcy. Abby, congratulations on your award, and we would like to hear from you.
Thank you so much. Receiving this award is such an incredible honor, and I'm so grateful. Um, I'm trying not to see this as an end point, and to rather see it as an encouragement to continue working hard. Uh, I think service is less something you do and more of a commitment over time. So most of the meaningful work isn't visible. It's keeping track of the small details, juggling partnerships, things like that. I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who supported me along the way, um, especially my family. This work has meant a lot to me, and I'm so grateful that you were all a part of it. I appreciate you all so much, and thanks again.
Thank you, Abby, and thank you to the Lions family for your support.
Congratulations again, Abby, and thank you, Darcy, Seth, and Carissa. So thank you again to all of our speakers. These were some wonderful conversations. We are grateful for your perspectives and for the important work you do each and every day. Now we will move into Q&A. We've been collecting some questions throughout the conversations today through the Zoom Q&A function, and we will answer as many as we can in the time remaining. So our first question is for Adam. And the question from an attendee is, are the homegrown funds already earmarked for specific projects, or will there be an RFP to which Duke units can apply for support of aligned projects?
Thanks, Michelle. And thanks for the question. Happy to give some context to homegrown just to clarify my answer. So homegrown is our commitment to expanding economic opportunity across the triangle. It's an initiative that we're calling a One Duke initiative. So it's across the health system and the university. Stephanie talked about it at the beginning. It's a $203 million commitment over 3 years, and it's really focused on investment and contracting opportunities in the local community with local businesses. So that dollar amount is focused on increasing local contracting opportunities in construction, in other service procurement lanes, and then in affordable housing. We talked about the partnerships with the CDFIs that at present are 22 million, and we are going to expand those to 60 million within 3 years. So it's less about sort of alignment of internal Duke entities toward RFP opportunities and more of Duke's deepening commitment and expanded commitment to the local community and pathways for job opportunities, contracting opportunities, and affordable housing. I'm also happy, Michelle, to take some of these questions offline if people want more detail on that. Sarita Hill, who's our Senior Director of Economic Mobility, and I are always happy to get a cup of coffee or hop on a Zoom to talk with folks about it as well.
That's great, thanks. And where can people learn more about Homegrown?
Yeah, so our website is homegrown.duke.edu. One thing that you should know is that we are going to be providing regular updates on the website of our progress against the goals that we've placed there. We won't wait a full year to provide updates and reports. We plan to do a large annual report each year, but along the way, we'll be sharing updates. We had a great Open Doors Contractor Forum this morning with over 100 attendees. We plan to do more events like that to deepen our engagement with the business community, small business community, and others.
Great, Adam. Thanks. Next question is for Russ. Navigating finding ADA housing in a crisis after a sudden disabling event can be overwhelming, and many spaces in the Triangle may have long wait lists. How do you approach education around accessible housing, finding housing, and ensuring supports, and how do partnerships help that?
So I think this is an area of growth in many regards. I don't know how entirely helpful my answer is going to be. I will say for those who are experiencing homelessness or who are in danger of that, our community has a coordinated system called Entry Point Durham, and I will drop that phone number into the Q&A so that that number is out there. But we designed a system so that folks don't have to call around to multiple partners to try and find help, which is great. And then the referrals come back to a variety of us, including Housing for New Hope. The piece around ADA units specifically, I don't know of a coordinated system that makes that information available. I will say that as a community, we've invested a lot in new developments of affordable housing, and all that housing includes ADA units. So my suggestion there, at one point, I think the city did have a navigator. I will also drop in the number for Housing and Neighborhood Services. Maybe don't say that Russ Pierce said to call, just some guy on a webinar said to call that number. Because if they don't have somebody, honestly, it's a great way to highlight that we do have this need. And the more we can highlight those needs, we can find a way with partners or the city or others to get that addressed.
That's great, Russ. We'll just blank that out of the recording. All right, one more question. This one's for Debbie. For those of us who want to get more involved, whether faculty, staff, students, or community members, what are the best ways to connect with this work and these partnerships?
So there's a lot of entry points into the work, and Duke Community Affairs and the center are here to help you find the right one. And part of the goal of the center is really to be a one-stop shop where if you're not sure where to start, we can help point you in the right direction. And in many cases, we think of the DCA approach as high touch and high tech. So the center is happy to do a one-on-one consult with your organization or with students to think about and brainstorm ways to connect you with partners that would be of interest. I mentioned internships. We place students in internships year round, and we also often connect people with courses and programs that exist already on campus, and we've held some open houses to do that. But you can also find us on the Duke Community Affairs website or email us at dcces@duke.edu. And we can drop that email in the chat and we can help connect you as well. And then complementing the center's work is the partnership platform, a high-tech platform that collects a lot of the volunteer opportunities in the community and Duke programs that are available to partners, where you can find opportunities to engage, connect with partners working on the issues we've talked about today. Whether you're looking to host a student or collaborate on research or explore a new partnership, you can find that by going through the center or by looking on the partnership platform for resources. And Duke Community Affairs is really here to help make those connections and support meaningful long-term engagement.
Excellent. Thank you, Debbie. Thank you for the thoughtful questions to everyone who submitted them today. We really appreciate the engagement from our Duke and Durham Triangle communities. Now we'll welcome back Stephanie to offer brief closing remarks. Stephanie?
Thank you to our community partners and Duke colleagues who shared their time, insights, and experiences. And thank you, everyone, for being with us today. What we've all heard in this town hall reinforces an important truth. Meaningful community impact doesn't happen in isolation. It happens through sustained relationships, mutual trust, and a shared commitment to expanding opportunity, whether that's increasing access to affordable housing, conducting life-saving research, or advising youth about college and careers. Duke Community Affairs serves as a connector, bringing campus and communities together in ways that align priorities, strengthen collaborations, sustains relationships, and benefits the people and places we call home. The examples you heard today reflect the strength of those partnerships and the momentum we are building together. So we invite you to stay connected with Duke Community Affairs, to explore opportunities to engage with partners, and continue learning and working together. You can find volunteer and partnership opportunities through the Duke Partnership Platform, as was mentioned, or to reaching out to any one of us. And we encourage you to sign up for our newsletter to stay informed about future programs and collaborations. Thank you again for being a part of this inaugural town hall and for your commitment to community engagement. We look forward to what comes next together.